Hey there everyone, Luke here, and oh boy, it's time. We are pretty much at the finale of Mission Yozakura family. It has been quite the journey, everyone. Been nearly 2.5 years since I started reviewing the series, done over 100 reviews. In fact, oh my god, I think it might actually be over 2.5 years. Well, time has flown by really quickly since the ending of Doctor Stone and moving on to Mission Yozakura family, and now we're here, pretty much at the end of another series. Now, like I said, after Mission Yozakura family, Witch Watch will be the series that I will be taking over with these reviews, and then after Witch Watch concludes, it'll just be a case of like what I feel like doing that week, whether I do a review or don't do a review, or if there's a chapter that I really want to talk about with a particular series, I'll do that one. I'll do that one. But yeah, for now, let's just focus on the conclusion to the fight with Asa. Okay, so this is chapter 254, appropriately titled Battle's End. Like, basically, they're not hiding the fact, like, this is coming to the end of the series. Get everything ready. We've not had the confirmation of when the series is actually ending yet, although we might be getting it in the next couple of days with the colour page and being like, the series is ending in 5-6 chapters. How many chapters that the author wants to kind of wrap up the series. Based on the ending of this chapter, I feel like it's probably going to be either 5 or 6 chapters before the ending. Which, hey, it was pretty much in the ballpark of when I said it was going to end, like 260 to 280. But yeah, it does feel like 260 or 259. Probably going to be the ending of the series. But anyway, so the chapter starts off from the ending of the last chapter, where we have Taiyo going in for the epic one punch. He's seriously doing the "I'm a man" punch on Asa here, and Asa, despite everything, despite him this attack coming for him, is still trying to defend as he uses some sort of attack to kind of like use some sort of like, I don't know, projectile sword thingies to fire at Taiyo, but Taiyo is not being faced by anything this, and you can see like Taiyo's body at this point, even in these early powers, it's just starting to crack away. So it's basically going with the idea of like, yeah, Taiyo has to die for Asa to die here, and you see Asa just getting like really desperate here, as despite all the attacks that he's throwing at Taiyo, not even facing him in the slightest, and Taiyo's just coming at him with a barrage of techniques, and Asa in his mind is like, oh, my strength, my life energy, they're all fading. Like, what is actually going on here? Like, how is this even happening? My attacks are doing very little damage, and my regeneration can't keep up. Only also count, and this is where Asa is kind of doing the typical spiel of like, all the Yozakura powers, they're built into my body, they're fading. My beautiful dream for the future of the Yozakuras is crumbling here, and soon enough we do actually find out the reason why, and I do like the actual reason of like why all this has particularly failed on Asa's part. So as we see a physical representation of Asa and all his plans, like you see these files that are just surrounded by Asa in his memory, and you see them just starting to crack away. We get Tsubumi going, "Father, it's finally come. Our last days, the days the Yozakura family curse ends." Basically, the curse that you've created, Asa. It's finally coming to an end, and Tsubumi is the one that's actually bringing it to an end. Makes perfect sense. She has suffered so much throughout the years, from her childhood to being 300, to being well past her expiration date, to World War I with Kawashita, to Momo, to finally to the present day with the 10th generation of Yozakuras. Yeah, it's all coming to a head here, and Tsubumi was just like, enough is enough here. The bright future these children will bring has no need for us. The children obviously referencing Alpha and Heal For Me, which, okay, a lot of people don't like the didn't like the idea of like the twins being like, oh, they're part of the key to defeating Asa, and they weren't like the whole key. So I feel like a lot of people might actually look at this in a different light and different perspective now. The fact that, yeah, they were integral to taking Asa down, but they didn't ultimately get the final push. Like, it was ultimately Taiyo that was the one who went out, defeated Asa, but it comes with a pretty hefty cost here, which we'll get into when we get to the end of the chapter. But yeah, suffice to say, they played their parts. They weren't the ones who were like, we're gonna get the final blow on Asa and really piss off the fan base. No, they did their part, but they ultimately left the fighting to their father. So yeah, and now they can actually be like the normal Yozakuras that everyone always intended them to being. And it's time we moved on as we see the heart of Reed just starting to like fizzle away. You get like the so it's kind of like fizzling away here as even Tsubumi herself started to crack away, and the flowers are just covering her face. So yeah, this is obviously the death of Tsubumi, like the official death of Tsubumi, as well as the ultimate death of Asa. So it's so yeah, the blood of the Yozakuras, like, it's eventually going to be diluted and not become like an ultimate power source anymore, because of obviously Asa being defeated and Asa dying and Tsubumi dying, like the original links being cut off, so it can eventually dilute and become a regular normal family. So yeah, she says, and we should take the old memories and our wishes for a warped dream along with us. And she's obviously thinking about Kawashita and what he meant to her, like, of everything that came from her. Like, he got the regenerated blooming from her. I believe he did. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but suffice to say, she's thinking about Kawashita being like one of the most important people in her life before she slowly, eventually fades into nothing but the crystallized Simona just flickering away, as does the heart, as we see Hiyofumi and Alpha just watching over this, just watching Tsubumi and the heart fizzle away, which that's going to be kind of a surreal thing to see, like your ancestor right in front of you, like just fizzling away, descending, and the heart of your grandmother basically doing the same thing. And it's not just them as well, it's also Momo. So we get, like, obviously the death of some of the big antagonists, like obviously Asa, Momo, and Tsubumi, as he's obviously thinking about Rin now, and it's quite emotional here because of being like Koricho, who, despite what Momo put his family through and what a psychotic father he was through his portion of the series, Koricho still cared enough about his dad. Like, he could never bring himself to truly hate that. Even though he despised what his dad did, he can never like be like, I hate you, Dad. You are nothing but a monster and everything. And we do get like a nice little moment with Koricho and Momo before Momo passes away, as Koricho's like, as Momo was like, Koricho, you did well, really, really well. Now take care of yourself, live. Now, keep that in mind, the fact that Momo is saying live there, because that's going to come up here to play at the end of this chapter. And Creature's just not giving like any semblance of just saying like of what emotion he's giving here. Before he gives off a very faint smile at hearing those words from Momo. Probably like the first like really truly proud words that Momo has said without any hint of like, oh no, this is psychotic Momo, this is crazy personality Momo. No, it's generally Momo speaking from, well, for lack of a better word, the heart at this point. And Creature's just like, cliche as far as final words go, but yeah, I guess I'll remember that. Good night, Dad. And we see a glint in Momo's eyes before he eventually withers away into the wind. So yeah, Momo is finally done for the series, and honestly, he's done more than enough. He was a great villain, but also a great support character when he needs to be, and again, integral to taking down Asa. And like I said, despite my complaints about the lack of death and hardship on the Yozakura side, I do feel like they generally did earn this victory. Like, it took a lot to take down Asa. Like, every combination of every plan and everything just coming into fruition just to take down this one guy and end their curse. So yeah, do I think there should have been like more of a struggle on the Yozakura's part, particularly with the fights with the Yozakura siblings? Yes, I do, but at the same time, they did have their heart moments, like particularly Keigo and Hulang, like having a really emotional final battle with each other. But like I said, really wish there was more of a struggle for them. But at the same time, really glad that it took this long, because this fight started like we spent pretty much the entire second half of 2024 just on this fight with Asa. So it was a real team effort to take down Asa, and they truly earned it. And also, I do like Karicho's final words to Momo, which are "Good night, Dad." Not only referencing when people, like, when they see their parents and their parents have passed away, they'll be like, "Good night, Dad," as in, your body can rest now, your soul can rest. We are at peace now. It's also a nice callback to when Karicho first used his blooming and when he went, "Goodbye, Dad," and he used Void on Momo. So I do like that little callback, and yeah, getting that closure between Karicho and Momo of just being like Momo saying like, "Just live your life now. You've done more than enough. You can rest now," and Karicho being like, "Cliche as always, but they are powerful words, so I'll hold on to them." And then we come back to the big moment here of just Asa finally, basically being told like why he's actually failed. As we see everything starts literally crumble around him, and he's getting mightily pissed off here. Taiyo is not saying much here; he's just like staring stoically here, and we see Asa going through multiple attacks, just trying to attack Taiyo, barrage, but it keeps on fading, and Asa's just there like, "Tsubumi, Momo, everything is coming away. Why? Where did I go wrong? What was the thing that made me fail? That made me fail here? I dedicated my life to the good of the Yozakura." No, you didn't. You dedicated it to yourself. You selfish, awful, cruel Mima, but my god, you were an awesome villain, Asa. Regardless of what people say, I think Asa has been one of the best villains in recent history. I mean, there are other series that I haven't seen yet, like I'm still catching up on News Exist, so maybe there'll be a villain in News Exist that might top Asa. But compared to, but in terms of like current shonen, I feel like current manga and weekly shonen jump, I feel like Asa is right up there as like the pinnacle of like what it means to be a great villain. Awful person, like no redeeming qualities whatsoever, but truly awesome as a villain. But he's got that mindset as well of like he understands his family, so he's the creator, he's the arbitrator, he's the founder of the Yozakura family, the ones that started the blooming, and it's like, I wish for it to prosper harder than anyone. So why is this fading, and why is it slipping away from me? Why is this up? Like, just basically that, why going, no, making a Dr. Stone reference there with why, man. But this is where Tao's just like, Asa, you've really lost sight of the truth here. You confuse Yozakuras for simple power. That's why, and that's his main. That's been like his ultimate downfall, because the greatest power for the Yozakura family as a whole is the Yozakura family itself. It's not the powers that they've developed from bloomings or from their combat prowess or from their techniques. It's them as a straight bonding unit that has really been the strength that's hold this family together. Even people that have like despised it, like Karicho despising Taiyo, even he's been like, Taiyo is still a member of this family, and I'm still going to protect him through thick and thin, but that doesn't mean I'm still not going to make his life a living hell from time to time. But even then, I will fight to the death for Taiyo just as much as any other member of my family, just showing like the natural strong bond of this family and why it's failed for Asa, because all he's seen them is just like, this is a power that I want to control. I want to control this Yozakura power to control the world, power to flourish and develop and make the world a better place, but under my rule. And yeah, Taiyo goes on and says that, yeah, this is wrong, because Yozakura is just a family. That's all we are. That's all we're ever going to be. The powers are just the tool that we use. It's not us of what makes us as the family. We may be a little different. We may have strange powers, but underneath all of that, we're just a normal loving family, and you've lost sight of that. I'm sure at the beginning you were a good father to Smoothie, you did care about her, but her powers and what was developed of her just blinded you by all the fancy powers, and forgot the true strength of family, our bonds, our love for each other, which is, I feel, like I said, really going to come into play at the end of the chapter. So Taiyo continues on by saying to Asa, like, in the end, he was just another family member who lost his, whose life was turned upside down by too much power, rather than continuing to generate the bonds that what a normal family would give. As we see Taiyo really going in for the finishing blow here on Asa, and stating, and it was so bad that he didn't even realise that this is what it was. Like, you were just so blindsided by power and wanted to control the power of the Yozakuras that he didn't realise that the strongest bond for the Yozakura was the bonds that they made. And he says, you claimed you did all of this for the Yozakura's good, but you didn't even know what Yozakura's really was, which was just a normal family, wanted to live a normal family. We may have these powers, but we still wanted to just be a normal family, and against someone like that, we could never lose. As we see the final coup de grace, Taiyo gets on him, gets that fatal stab into Asa's heart, here, as we get reactions from Mutsumi, Alpha and Hiyofumi, and Karicho. Very different reactions. We get Hiyofumi and Alpha just looking like, oh my god, Dad did it. We have Mutsumi just looking stoic, like, I feel like Taiyo is probably going to die here. And we have Karicho being like, probably thinking like, this guy is not going to die on my watch here. As we have the stab from Taiyo, as his body finally begins to crack apart here. Like, really, this is the end for Asa. Like I said, really good villain, crappy character personality wise in the series of just being like an awful, horrible person, but a great villain nonetheless. As he goes on and says, family, if that's the case, then isn't your death a defeat for the family you love so much? So aren't I getting a victory here, because you will never be around with your family to appreciate that normal, happy life that you crave so much about, and you probably couldn't call this a victory, no. But yeah, Taiyo's just like, yeah, I really couldn't call this a victory for us, but at the same time, it isn't a defeat. Even if I'm no longer here, I still live on inside of them. Like, the memories, the bonds that I've made with them, with my family, with my new family, with my wife, with my kids, with my brothers and sisters-in-law, in their hearts, in their memories, I'll still be there, just in a different way, even if I'm not physically around them anymore. And pieces of me will stay with them forever. As we see Taiyo's birth parents, and yeah, we see Mutsumi, as Taiyo was saying all of this, just being like, before she's still trying to keep the stoic face of just being like, I have to keep the stoic face because I am the head of the Yozakura, so I can't be showing any emotion right now. I have to be firm, I have to be stale, I have to support my husband's decisions. But at this point, like, just the emotions start to waver on her, and she is on the verge of tears here, like, literally right there, just like trying to hold them back here, and just seeing how painful that is, like, just to hold it in, because remember, they are young, they are in their early 20s as well, and the fact that Mutsumi not only has become a mother, but maybe about to become a widow as well in her early 20s, just all of that just like bowls over it. Like, she's lost both her parents before she's even turned 30, and now she's about to lose her husband, the father of her children, and like, yeah, all that emotion is just weighing on her now, and it's like really impossible to hold back. She's a lot stronger than any other person, I feel like, in this situation. Like, people losing their father, their mother, and their husband all in the span before they've even turned 25. Like, that is a lot to take in. As he says, I can do this because they're more precious to me than my own life. Now, that line is critically important, because it's going to come into play based on what's going to happen at the end of the chapter, like I've been hinting at for a while. You all know what I'm theorizing here, because I've been theorizing for a while, and yet all the evidence again just pointed to that moment. Even Tyler from Control Chaos seems to agree with me. Like, this is how it could go. It can either go one of two ways: this way or another way. And either way, I feel like would be satisfying for one aspect, satisfying for the character that is going to happen to, bringing them full circle, or satisfying for the family itself, because it means like they're finally free from this curse of just having having these abilities and these powers. And we'll get to it when we get to it. Tao says, and I think it must be the same for you once at the very beginning, as we have Asa flashback being like, oh yeah, I remember now. At first, all I wanted to do was just to see Subumi smile, but the pressure of mounting over him, like wanting to create more cures and remedies with her body, like that just corrupts his mind. As his last words are Subumi, and he finally fades into the dust. And that is the end of Asa, the end of the greatest threat to the Yozakura's history and legacy, gone for good. So yeah, we've lost Subumi, Momo, pretty much the only thing that could bring Ri back, and Asa, all in the same chapter. So it means like the origin of the Bloomings finally cut off here, as we have Taiyo finally collapsing on the ground, and everyone is just like completely stunned here. Like, what is going on? What is happening to Taiyo right now? Like, you see reactions from everyone as Taiyo, thinking back on his time when he was in high school with Mutsume, just gives a faint smile and is like, mission complete, as his body is starting to crack up from basically having all the Subumi's power and Momo's power being cut off from him. Like, his body is not able to handle it anymore. It's just starting to disintegrate. As he says, yeah, mission complete. And this is the end of the chapter where we have Koricho actually approaching Taiyo. So yeah, this is where we're going to get into my big three here. Like, that line where Taiyo says that this is why I can do this, because they're more precious to me than anything. Koricho's whole desire throughout most of the series is just that he wants Mutsume's happiness. He wants Mutsume's happiness. He wants to see Mutsumi be happy. And what is Mutsume's happiness? It's Taiyo. So so like I've been saying out for the last few chapters, it can either go one of two ways. Koricho sacrifices, basically using his true spring brewing to kind of mount his soul. I assume it's gonna be Cold Soul, and it's gonna mount his soul into Taiyo. So he's gonna give all his body, all his mind, all his soul into Taiyo, so Taiyo's body can fully regenerate itself at the cost of Koricho. Koricho's life force being completely drained. So Koricho is still a part of Taiyo, meaning he's still a part of the family and everything, and he still gets to be alive in a roundabout way, so he can still watch over Mutsume. So that would be my ideal situation, because I feel like it would again bring the entire story of Koricho being full circle. Those siblings that's put the bare weight of everything on the shoulder, the bare weight of the family on his shoulders. Even though everyone's been like, we're family in this, we do this together. He's been the one who's been like, no, I'm the strongest one. I'm the one that's been responsible for you guys. So I've got to take the step, and I've got to write the check of being like, if I truly care about this family, I have got to make some much needed sacrifices, and I feel like this would be the biggest sacrifice he could make to ensure the true happiness of the Yozakura family. That, or it can either go another direction where they have to give up their powers. Like, the Yozakuras have to sacrifice like all their bloomings, all the true swing brewings to get Taiyo to stop his body. Like, pour all their powers and all their abilities into him, so that his body can be rejuvenated. Because Shinzo and Futaba their true spring brewings are kind of like a rejection or healing properties true spring brewings. So I feel like they're going to do something where they'll take those true spring brewings and maybe take Shion's true spring brewing, like basically taking them all, pouring them into Taiyo, so that yeah, the bloomings are all gone, they've all been lost, but we get to save Taiyo, and we get to be a normal, loving family that can just live out their days as peacefully as possible, no more bloomings being passed on from generation to generation, or at the very least, more diluted bloomings, so that they're not as powerful as the ones that have come before, but they still have some sort of power, and eventually it's going to weave away more and more and more until the bloomings completely fizzle out, or something like that. So either Creature will sacrifice himself, or all the bloomings get sacrificed to save Taiyo. Either way, they would fit with the perfect theme of the series of family sacrificing themselves for other members of the family. Like Creature sacrificing himself for the love of his family, and the Yozakura siblings sacrificing themselves for the love that they have for Taiyo and what changes he's brought for the family, and how much he's just basically done for them in terms of taking out the biggest threats that the Yozakuras have ever had. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on those fronts. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasherluke signing off. Later, guys. Oh yeah, I got a haircut as well.